You know, Oprah Winfrey. But you don't know this Oprah, the most influential woman in American television, a billionaire philanthropist, a legendary talk show host. But before all of that, there was a girl who was abused, a child who was cast aside, a young soul nobody believed in, not even herself. And it's about her that this story begins. What happens when pain is the only language you've ever known? And what do you do when no one believes in you? Not even the mirror? Maybe you've felt that too. Maybe, in silence, you're feeling it right now. How does someone rise from the depths of emotional despair to become one of the most powerful voices on earth? The answer might surprise you. And maybe, just maybe, it'll awaken something in you too. Oprah was born in 1954, deep in the heart of Mississippi. Black, female, poor. 3 strikes that back then didn't just define your life, they confined it. But Oprah, she wasn't just a child. She was a challenge to statistics, an improbable miracle, raised by her grandmother Hattie Mae in a wooden shack with a dirt floor. Oprah grew up under strict discipline and deep-rooted faith. Hattie was firm. She was fierce. But in that tiny home, Oprah discovered something powerful. The escape of imagination, the salvation of words. As early as 3 years old, she was reading the Bible aloud, preaching to an invisible crowd as if she were standing at a pulpit. Little did she know, one day the entire world would be listening to her voice for real. Have you ever found refuge in something small? Something that made you feel alive again, even for a moment? But her childhood sanctuary wouldn't last long. At 6, she was sent to live with her biological mother, Vernita Lee, in Milwaukee. There, between broken homes, crushing poverty, and emotional absence, a deeper kind of pain began to settle in. Most people won't say this out loud, but the pain of rejection can hurt even more than physical wounds. The pain of being invisible, of reaching for love, and being handed silence. Oprah was sexually abused, repeatedly, by a cousin, an uncle, a family friend. She was just 9 years old, and each time, she learned to stay quiet. It wasn't just the pain in her body. It was the pain of being dismissed. The world seemed to say, "This doesn't matter." And that kind of silence, it crushes something in a child that words can't fix. Maybe you've been hurt by someone you trusted. Maybe, like Oprah, you carried guilt that never belonged to you. When she finally spoke up, they didn't believe her. They said she wanted attention. They called her a liar. So she buried it, all of it. And the pain found new ways to escape. She rebelled, snuck out, lied to her mother, sought affection where there was only desire. At 14, she became pregnant. She hid it for as long as she could. The baby was born premature and died within days. Just imagine that. A 14-year-old girl, a body still growing, a heart already broken, now grieving a child. Think about it. How many times has life tried to convince you that you weren't enough? And how many times did you believe it? That loss nearly destroyed her. But then, something shifted. She was sent to live with her father, Vernon Winffrey, in Nashville. Vernon was strict, but he gave her something she never had before: structure, boundaries, stability. He demanded good grades. He set expectations. He gave her ground to stand on. And that's where Oprah began to rise. She shined in school, entered speech competitions, excelled in class. She found her voice, finally. And this time, the world listened. At 17, she won a local beauty pageant. Soon after, she started working at a local radio station. It was just the beginning of a remarkable path. And what comes next might just rewrite what you believe is possible. Oprah studied communications at Tennessee State University. And not long after, she landed a job as a local news reporter, the first Black woman in that role. But the feedback, harsh, too emotional, too expressive, not polished enough. They told her to straighten her hair, lose weight, speak slower, be less Oprah. But Oprah made a choice. Not to be less, but to be more. Think about it. How many times have you tried to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's mold? What if your too much is exactly where your power lives? In 1984, she took over a failing morning show called AM Chicago. The ratings were terrible. The show was nearly forgotten. But within weeks, it became the highest-rated program in the city. That's what Oprah did. She didn't just interview people. She embraced them. She didn't just listen. She felt with them. Her gift wasn't just communication. It was empathy. It was truth. It was scars turned into connection. Soon after, the show was renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show. And from there, history was made. She dove into the topics most people avoided: sexual violence, racism, poverty, spirituality, emotional healing. She lived these stories. That's why she could hold space for them. Let me tell you something real. In 1987, a woman came on live television and shared, for the first time ever, that she had been sexually abused by her own father. Oprah didn't hesitate. She walked off the stage, wrapped her arms around that woman, and cried with her. The audience cried too, because this wasn't just a show. It was a sanctuary. In 1993, Oprah interviewed Michael Jackson. Almost 100 million people watched. An American television milestone. But the most important episode, according to Oprah herself, was when she filled her audience, every single seat, with survivors of abuse. And for the first time on national television, silence had a voice. Shame became empathy. Oprah had more influence on my election than any other individual. Barack Obama. If this story is speaking to something inside you, hit that subscribe button. We're not here for numbers. We're here for real connection. And share this video with someone who might need it today. Now let's go deeper. Oprah didn't want to just appear on TV. She wanted to own the narrative. What was said, how it was said, and who got to say it. So in 1988, she founded Harpo Productions. Harpo is Oprah, spelled backwards. And that reversal meant she was taking it all back. For the first time in American television history, a Black woman didn't just host a show. She owned it. Oprah wasn't asking for a seat at the table. She built her own. And you? Have you ever caught yourself waiting for someone to give you permission? When the truth is, you've had it inside you all along. With Harpo, she produced films, documentaries, TV series, And of course, The Oprah Winfrey Show, now with full creative control. But she didn't stop there. She launched O, the Oprah magazine. She created Oprah's Book Club, which turned unknown authors into overnight bestsellers. Every project carried a mission: to educate, to elevate, to awaken. Did you know the book, A New Earth, sold over 4 million copies? After being featured in Oprah's Book Club, that's not popularity, that's impact. But even with all this success, Oprah faced a battle no one else could fight for her. For decades, Oprah wrestled with body image, yo-yo dieting, public shame, private judgment. She wheeled a red wagon full of fat onto the stage, representing the 67 pounds she'd lost. It looked like victory. But later she admitted it was desperation, disguised as control. Not many talk about this, but sometimes our obsession with changing the outside is really just a cry for someone to see the inside, even with billions in the bank. Oprah still had to heal the one relationship that mattered most, the one with herself. You ever looked in the mirror and felt like it still wasn't enough? Ever tried to fix pain by fixing something on the surface? That search led her inward. She explored spirituality, studied under Eckhart Tolle, Iyanla Vanzant, Deepak Chopra. She created Super Soul Sunday, a space for soul-to-soul conversations about ego, purpose, consciousness, and truth. Default text Oprah began to understand. All the outer success meant nothing if her inner world was still aching. She once said the most important question she ever heard was, "What do you really want?" Not fame, not approval, just truth. That spiritual awakening led to one of the most meaningful projects of her life, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. In South Africa, over 150 young women, most from extreme poverty, were given not just education but structure, opportunity, love. Many went on to become doctors, lawyers, leaders. And Oprah? She knew each of them by name. She didn't just hand out scholarships. She handed out direction. She didn't offer charity. She offered possibility. In 2011, after 25 groundbreaking seasons, the Oprah Winfrey Show came to an end. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a metamorphosis. She launched OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, her own television channel, a place with full creative freedom to tell the stories that mattered most. And at first, it failed. The ratings were low. The critics were loud. People said, "She's lost her touch." But Oprah persisted. Little by little, OWN evolved into a powerful platform for real stories, spiritual insight, and raw human truth. Have you ever felt like everything you built was crumbling, even after years of getting it right? Ever thought about quitting, even though something inside you whispered, "Not yet"? In 2018, she was honored with the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes. But what the world remembers is her speech. She looked out at a room filled with artists, executives, and cultural giants, and spoke to the hearts of millions of women watching at home. For too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared to speak their truth to the power of those men. But their time is up. The room erupted in a standing ovation. People wept. The world listened. Once again, Oprah became the voice of what so many feel, but few are able to say, Today, Oprah is more than a media icon. She's a symbol of healing, of resilience, of becoming. She rose from shame to authority, from abuse to leadership, from silence to a voice that echoes across generations. So think about this. What if your pain is the raw material for your purpose? What if what you went through is preparing you to walk someone else through the same fire? Because in the end, Oprah's story is a living reminder. You don't have to be born into privilege. You don't need to be accepted by everyone. You only need to listen to that voice inside you that still hasn't given up. If this story touched something in you, subscribe to the channel. Every video here is made to remind you of who you can become. Like this video. And drop a comment below. What moment in your life became your strength? What pain taught you something no one else could? Write it down, because your story matters too. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Oprah Winfrey.